Started tonight with breaking news. A third suspect has been indicted in connection to the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph.
We have new details tonight as we continue to investigate the murder of rapper Young Dolph. Of course, he was gunned down almost a year ago at Makita's Cookies. And tonight we're finding out more about now the third suspect arrested in this case, Hernandez Govan.
Court records show 43-year-old Hernandez Govan, who was just indicted in the rap star slaying, along with Johnson and Cornelia Smith, once lived just a few houses down. Neighbors fearing for their lives told us off camera he grew up on the street.
Breaking news just in from DeSoto County. One of the suspects in the Young Dolph case has been arrested in a separate case in South Haven. According to the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office, Hernandez Govan was booked Sunday, but we're told he's already bonded out.
But today, prosecutors told the jury it was actually a man known as Big Jook who ordered the hit. They claim Big Jook was high up a record label, CMG, a rival of Young Dolph. Big Jook, who was the older brother of well-known rapper Gotti, was killed earlier this year outside a Hickory Hill nightclub.
It's no secret that Justin Johnson was found guilty of murder in the death of Young Dolph. Jurors deliberated for just under 4 hours before finding Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, guilty of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Shelby County criminal judge Jennifer Mitchell sentenced Johnson to life in prison. Cornelia Smith testified that CMG label owner Gotti's brother Anthony Mims, aka Big Jook, put out a $100,000 hit on Young Dolph, as well as bounties on all of the artists on Young Dolph's record label, Paper Route Empire. If you pay close attention to the trial and not videos by YouTube creators filled with misinformation, you would know that Cornelia Smith made reference to other individuals associated with the murder of Dolph. One of those men in question would be Hernandez Govan, aka Quid. Hernandez was tagged as the mastermind and orchestrator of Young Dolph's murder.
Now, we broke news about the arrest of Hernandez Govan last night as breaking news during Fox 13 News at 6.
We do have live team coverage for you tonight. We are digging into the criminal history of this latest suspect. We're going to begin tonight with Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre with why prosecutors believe that Govan wanted Dolph dead.
Hernandez Govan, he is charged with first-degree murder, criminal attempted first-degree murder, and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder charges. Now, the big thing here is that conspiracy charge. Last night, District Attorney Steve Morroy confirmed his team believes Govan asked for Dolph to be killed. According to the documents I got my hands on, these charges go back earlier than Dolph's death. We're talking about several months before the rapper's death, June to be specific. During that time, investigators believe suspects in custody came together and developed a plan to murder Young Dolph. That murder happened November 17th of last year. According to online court documents, Govan's last known address is in the 1100 block of Bradley in Orange Mound. That sounds familiar? Let me tell you why. That's the same block where police found the white Mercedes-Benz they say the gunmen who killed Young Dolph were driving. Now, my sources say Govan should be in court sometime early next week. They also told me there could be more arrests in this case.
Hernandez Govan is no stranger to the streets of Memphis. In fact, he has a notorious reputation for being a certified gangster in the streets, as well as a confidential informant. Any real dude from the street knows that being a killer or a D-boy has nothing to do with being a CI. In fact, there's a laundry list of both men and women on the streets who are in the game and working with them people, even in my own city. The crazy thing about the entire situation is that Big Jook went with his move on the two shooters. After they put in work, he only hit them boys off with $800. Obviously shook after the shooters were arrested, $50K was allegedly paid to one of the shooters' attorneys on behalf of CMG. This statement alone is enough for the feds to start fishing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that Cornelius had given these same statements to the state before he testified in court. With that being said, it is nowhere near over for other defendants in Dolph's murder trial. Govan, the alleged mastermind, hasn't even had his trial yet. As sure as pig's pussy is pork, you can almost be guaranteed that Govan will drag Gotti's name into his trial. Conspiracy is a very dangerous game that's played by the criminal justice system to pretty much guarantee convictions. It only takes 2 or more individuals to be deemed as conspiracy. The crime of conspiracy only exists because legislators have deemed group criminality inherently more dangerous than crime perpetrated by a single individual. When individuals come together to participate in criminal conduct, there is an opportunity for division of labor and specialization. By contrast, when an individual plans to commit a criminal offense, absent outside assistance, such as a person is limited to his or her own skills and resources, conspiracy is considered an in cahoot or incomplete crime, which means that a person can be prosecuted irrespective of whether or not the criminal objective was actually accomplished. Thus, one way of understanding a conspiracy charge is the criminalization of the meeting of the minds. If 2 or more individuals possess the requisite mental state and come to an agreement to commit an offense against the United States, subject to some additional requirements, that conduct would constitute as a conspiracy. There are a number of different statutory provisions relating to conspiracy. However, the overarching and most commonly cited provision is 18 U.S. Code Section 371, the General Conspiracy Statute.
It's important to remember that the government has a lot of resources to investigate conspiracy cases. Law enforcement agencies such as the FBI, DEA, Department of Labor, IRS, and various Inspector General offices devote a lot of time, energy, and manpower to these types of investigations. A variety of techniques are used, many of which used to be used to investigate street crime like bank robbery, but are now used to prosecute white-collar offenses. Wiretaps, long-term surveillance operations, subpoenas for records, emails, phone records, search warrant executions, all of these techniques and more are used. Under 18 United States Code Section 371, the maximum penalty for a conspiracy conviction is 5 years in prison. However, a conviction for conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance, such as cocaine or heroin, under 21 United States Code Section 846, carries potentially even more serious penalties. There are huge potential long-term implications that can result from a conspiracy conviction. There is a substantial possibility of prison time. You will almost certainly lose your job and find it difficult to get another one. You will lose any security clearance you have and may be prohibited from voting and owning a firearm. To defend against a conspiracy charge, it's important to involve an experienced, aggressive attorney early in the process. An attorney can create the all-important buffer between you and law enforcement, begin an investigation, interview potential witnesses, review documents, and other evidence.
What that means is that it would only take 1 or 2 words from Gotti in the form of recorded phone conversation, text messages, or statements given by an individual. Another element of the crime of conspiracy is the overt act committed in furtherance of the conspiracy. In order for the government to have a plausible cause, they must demonstrate that a co-conspirator acted or failed to act in such a way that contributed to the illicit end and did so within the scope of the unlawful agreement. What is important to understand about this requirement is that the overt act need not be anything illegal, and as such, this is often fairly easy for the government to demonstrate. One thing is for sure, and 2 things are for certain. That boy Gotti is definitely lawyered up. He's not trying to go down for the murder of young Dolph.
Eyes were on Memphis Thursday as a guilty verdict was read for Justin Johnson in the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. But prosecutors say this is only the beginning in the fight for justice, and eyes are now turning to other men charged in the case. WREG's Shay Simon has more on what's next.
Affirm this verdict as to the first-degree murder I sentence you to life in prison.
Moments after a jury found Justin Johnson guilty Thursday on all 3 counts in the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph, this cryptic post was shared to Johnson's Instagram, saying they can throw away the keys before I ever eat the cheese.
Justice has been done, at least so far.
With at least 4 others charged in this case, it is far from over. Cornelia Smith and Hernandez Govan now both face charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and attempted first-degree murder. Smith's case is reset to November 15th.
Like I told the court, there'll be a point where he goes to prison.
Jamarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's half-brother, pleaded guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact and has a court hearing on October 9th. And you may remember Shondell Barnett. He was in the car Johnson was driving when he was captured in Indiana. He has now been on the run since 2022 with charges that include first-degree murder.
We will continue to make sure that all of those who are responsible for young Dolph's death receive the punishment they deserve.
For your news leader in Memphis, Shay Simon, WREG News, Channel 3.
Prosecutors allege the overall mastermind was Big Jook, a high-up at CMG. That's a rival record label of Young Dolph. Big Jook was killed earlier this year outside of a Memphis nightclub. WREG Shay Arthur has been following this case. She's live at the Criminal Justice Center with the latest from today. Shay, what's going on?
Hey, Alex. Well, just as I was stepping out to come talk to you, Jamarcus Johnson, that's actually Justin Johnson's brother. He was taking the stand. He has been accused of accessory after the fact, helping his brother. He did take a plea deal earlier this year. He's been out on bond, but today when he's testifying in court, he is not showing his face. Really, he just took the stand about 10 minutes or so ago. And as he was up there, we could see Justin Johnson, who's accused of murder. You could see his face. He appeared a bit emotional at times, so more on his testimony in just a short time. But again, as you mentioned here, much of today's testimony really went back to how crucial video evidence has been in this case. It really goes back to what the prosecutor, Paul Hagerman, said in his opening statement yesterday. He told the jury the problem with these guys getting away with this shooting is that this didn't happen in 1981. It didn't happen in 1991 or 2001. It happened in 2021. There's cameras everywhere, and everyone has cell phones. On the stand Tuesday, Terrence Dabney, a now retired Memphis police homicide investigator. He handled the Young Dolph case. He detailed the crime scene outside of Makita's Cookies. The spent shell casings, videos, and pictures shown to the jury showed 2 men with guns, one of them wearing the Bass Pro hat and the gray sweatpants. Prosecutors say is Justin Johnson. The getaway car seen on video, a stolen white Mercedes. Now, rewind back the day before Young Dolph's murder, 17 hours before. The jury has shown surveillance video from Crosstown Concourse where Johnson was living with a relative. You can see a white Ford Expedition pull into the parking garage. Then you see a man on the elevator wearing a Bass Pro hat, gray sweatpants. Prosecutors say that's Johnson. A series of videos spanning several hours, counting down to Dolph's death, is shown, showing Johnson coming and going from the building in the same outfit. At one point, he returns to Crosstown Concourse in a white Mercedes car. Prosecutors also show video of a car exchange at a gas station in the middle of the night where that Mercedes is picked up. Then, around 30 minutes before the murder, video shows Johnson leaving the apartment once again. And once again, he's in the same outfit. This time, he's on the phone with his young daughter. You see him leave in the white Mercedes. The shooting outside of Makita's, the incident captured on video. Young Dolph is killed. Today, the investigator testified those guns used in the murder, an assault rifle and a handgun, have never been recovered. Then, 37 minutes after the shooting, prosecutors say surveillance video shows the accused shooters going to another apartment complex, changing clothes, Johnson into a yellow hoodie, and leaves in a white Expedition. Then, hours later, more surveillance video shows him return to Crosstown Concourse in a yellow sweatshirt, go into an apartment, come back out with his bags packed. Then investigators say he went on the run, starting a manhunt.